The real issue that people really aren't understanding is that she used me to send messages in a subtle way to Nick, and I didn't realize that.
Okay, so this has just been like a complete and utter mess, and this is something that I wanted to touch upon in my last video about Gypsy. This is probably literally going to be one of my very last videos ever about Gypsy, because I'm going to be completely honest, I'm kind of a little bit sick and tired of talking about her. The latest news on the block is the reasoning why Gypsy got rid of her social media was because someone had basically dobbed her into the parole board, basically told her parole officer that she had been using Nina to pass messages to Nick, who is Nicholas Godejohn, who is her co-defendant. And one of the stipulations for Gypsy's release is that she cannot have any communication with Nick, and she also has to go to therapy. Those are the two stipulations.
Someone said that she was trying to pass messages to Nick, and you see, y'all been wanting her talk about Nick, advocate for Nick. She's not supposed to. So she took a risk by and she really never spoke a lot about him, but she wanted to let it be known that she does feel for the position she's in, and this is what happens. It's like y'all got what y'all wanted, and then someone went and reported, because she never got in trouble for posting that. It wasn't until someone went and reported her to PO and saying that she was passing messages to Nina.
And as soon as I heard this, I was like, what's going on? Nina is someone that I had been following for quite a long time, because she seems to be the very first person that comes up on my For You page when talking about Gypsy Rose. I will say a lot of the stuff she does talk about are things that are kind of rumours, speculation, gossip, drama, but she's always been pretty forthcoming about this is what her channel is. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell people that I don't like a bit of gossip drama tea, because that is just not the truth. But people found out about this whole passing messages to Nick through Nina thing when it was through this channel called Says Bree. He said to Bree, I'm having to delete my TikTok by order of my parole officer. Someone reported to my parole officer that I'm passing messages to Nick through Nina. That is not it at all. I send you what I said to her. Now, the thing that makes it really interesting, and Nina denies this, by the way, she denies any involvement in the sending of messages to Nick.
I would never jeopardize my integrity or anything for Gypsy or Nick. Yes, I feel like Nick should get justice, but why would I help Gypsy Rose get in contact with Nick?
You know, literally said, why would I play with my own freedom to help Gypsy? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Anyway, bear with me. But one of the things that Gypsy had said to Nina when she first reached out to her was, please do not share this with anyone else. Do not share our messages. And Nina thought, okay, I'll respect her wishes.
Before I say what she messaged me and said, she requested that I do not share the screenshots, but I am free to discuss what she spoke on in my messages.
But then Gypsy did her a little bit dirty by sending all of the messages, all of the receipts to her friend, Says Bree. Now, Bree, I don't know a lot about Bree, but what I will say about Bree is that she is very vehemently against people talking badly about Gypsy. It's a much smaller channel, but her and Nina have been at each other's throats. This is actually some low-level TikTok drama, so yeah.
She came at me for absolutely no reason. And then it said, Gypsy's likely playing Bree, and Bree is likely playing her too. For what? For what? What can I possibly benefit from being friends with Gypsy? I would benefit more for hating Gypsy, as you know. As you know, Nina.
The reasoning why Gypsy reached out to Nina in the very first place was because Nina had basically found out that Gypsy was in communications, or not communications, but had basically started following her ex-boyfriend, who she actually cheated on Ryan with.
Ken's mama has entered the chat. So she said, is my son what? A great guy? Yes. A hard worker? Yes. Did he love Gypsy? Yes. Did he do what he felt was best for Gypsy? Yes.
And it got so dramatic that Gypsy's ex-boyfriend, who she cheated on Ryan with, actually started talking to Nina and saying your makeup looks really, really nice and stuff like that, and started appearing in her chat. Anyway, so Nina came on to TikTok and was like, guys, something weird's going on. It was the boyfriend's mum. Do not listen to me. It was the boyfriend's mum That's what I meant to say. Gypsy's ex-boyfriend, who she cheated on Ryan's with, mum, entered her chat. Drama, gossip, speculation, right? And then all of a sudden, Gypsy then started appearing in her lives after blocking her. And that is when Gypsy then started talking to Nina. So, of course, it's a bit suspicious that you'd start talking to Nina just as she's starting to get into the root of why you're now in contact with your ex, who Ryan said in the prison confessions of Gypsy Rose that she shouldn't be speaking to.
So one of the things that Gypsy Rose did say to me in the message was that her and Ken were not together. They follow each other on TikTok, but that's the extent. And she loves his mom, obviously, which is why the mom tapped in on the chat. And I don't know if you guys saw, but his mom did make a video. However, I do think that it's a little suspicious that she sent a message after the video of Ken and her.
So that has all happened. And Nina then put out this video. So I've literally given you the most basic of basic rundowns.
A follower of mine sent me a video of Gypsy Rose, and I couldn't open it on February 6th. At that point, I realized Gypsy Rose blocked me. March 3rd, Gypsy Rose showed up on my FYP. Initially, I thought it was a spam page, but I noticed it said Gypsy Rose Blanchard 727. I clicked on it, and I saw that it was a real Gypsy Rose. That was when I realized that she unblocked me. Monday, March 11th, Gypsy Rose entered my live. She was on my live for quite some time. I didn't notice it, but a lot of my viewers said, "Oh my gosh, Gypsy Rose is in your live." When I got off the internet, everybody sent me this screenshot. After the series of events that have happened this week, I feel like she was trying to read the room. She was trying to see what I would say or if I'd be open to her messaging me. Wednesday, March 13th, I received this message from Gypsy Rose, and you could read as following. Now, I will admit, I thought Gypsy Rose might have reached out to me because she was trying to turn over a new leaf in her life. I knew it was a possibility and more of a likelihood of her not wanting to change, but I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt, so I heard her out. I was persistent in telling my followers and Gypsy I did not trust her, but if she really wanted to change, her actions would speak louder than her words, and only time would tell if she really wanted to be accountable. Thursday, March 14th, Gypsy Rose sent me this message, a day after she began sending me messages. In here, it says basically that Christy does not want her really talking about the restraining order, but she already told Christy that she was speaking to me and that I knew, and she was on the phone with Christy and she told her to hold back. She said, "I told her I am talking to you." And I said to her, "I meant to ask you that, which is why I didn't say it." She then says, "This is so you know I'm telling the truth. For your eyes only, it's from Mike Stanfield." I said, "I'm going to mind my business. I'm not going to get caught up in that. I'll let them talk about that when they decide they want to talk about that." I wanted to make sure that I maintained my integrity and I was going to keep it on the hush. Now, if you remember in the beginning, Gypsy Rose said to me to not share the screenshots, but she shared them with Bree. And I asked her, why did she think it was okay to share it with Bree, but I could not share the screenshots? And this is where the message began. This is where I sent her a screenshot of what Bree posted, and I asked her, is this true? Because I wasn't sure if that was really a true text from Gypsy or if Bree was just fabricating it. She says, yes, it's true. I said, why did they not make you delete all social media? She says, no, it's all public socials. I said, okay, I get it. She puts, unfortunately, right or wrong, if someone reports me for any reason, my parole officer has to call me and talk to me about it. I showed him our text messages, and he saw that I was not trying to pass messages through you. However, to appease him and Missouri as well, I had to delete it. I didn't even get a chance to collect a $6,000 that I accumulated in the TikTok Creator Fund. So I asked her to clarify, so was this your decision to delete it? Here she says, it was advised to delete it and I listened because above all else, social media is not worth me going back to prison. I think my last video was done with grace and I'm happy that I could walk away, knowing that I said my piece. And I said, yes, I think that's the best way. That's the best. It was an excellent last video. And I said, question, why would you ask me not to share the screenshots, but you shared them with Bree? Full transparency, my followers were right. Gypsy began to change, which we knew that she'd show her hand if she was really lying. This is Bree and Gypsy Blanchard. Like I said in a previous video, they met fairly recently, about a month ago, and had dinner together. Allegedly, Bree stopped her in public and somehow they built some sort of relationship. Now that is not confirmed. This is what I've heard. And I've said previously in a video that I thought that Bree and Gypsy Blanchard blew the whistle on Gypsy Rose because I do know Gypsy does not have a great relationship with Gypsy and she tries to make it seem like they do. And of course, this is all alleged based off of what I have seen. Then I seen this screenshot that a friend of mine sent from a Reddit post. And this is a woman that reported Gypsy Rose to her parole officer via email. And you can read below. The person says, using a creator on TikTok who has 9.5 thousand followers. That was me. Because at the time that this was sent, I had 9.5 thousand followers. I did not send messages. This lady assumed that. For whatever reason, we might as well put the trampoline right here for her. But that was not the case. I would never jeopardize my integrity or anything for Gypsy or Nick. Yes, I feel like Nick should get justice, but why would I help Gypsy Rose get in contact with Nick? I don't know. Now, this is the parole officer or the parole board responding back to the woman.
He's now feeling like she was manipulated by Gypsy by basically being told like, oh, you've got to be quiet. But I can then send all these messages on. I can do this and that. If any of that were actually true and messages were being shown, like she would be back in prison. I think like we should all get this into our heads. I don't think any messages are being shown. Like I said, she'll be back in that jail cell. Okay, that is what will be happening right now. Don't think any messages were ever sent. I don't think she was the one passing the messages on. The only reason why Gypsy started reaching out to her in the very first place, allegedly, it was because Nina was like almost about to crack the code on Gypsy's ex-boyfriend, holding herself accountable. Was all of that just complete bollocks? Was this, is she trying to pin blame on Nina? Is that what's happened right now? Because that is what Nina feels. Nina feels like the blame has been pinned on her and that none of this really happened. But I don't know.
The real issue that people really aren't understanding is that she used me to send messages in a subtle way to Nick, and I didn't realize that. So that was my fault for being foolish. Okay? Now, she was telling me how she felt like Nick should have his fair day in court, and I said that in my messages. Now, she said she didn't want me to share the screenshots, but I could discuss everything in the messages, right? I realized when she told me that the fancy situation wasn't public knowledge, she likely did not want it to be out there, which is why I did not even speak on that part. However, she shared the messages with Breeze. Like I said before, she said, you can discuss the things in this message. I just don't want you to post the screenshots.
Okay, so my own closing thoughts before I go, because my camera kind of died a little bit. But what I do want to say is that I firmly believe, and this isn't talking about anyone in particular, this is just talking from someone who has been a commentator, for like a year to, I don't even know how long now. It's best to stay well away from the people that you're talking about. And this is not even specifically talking about Nina or like kind of making her feel bad for, you know, getting entangled in this mess. I think that Gypsy, I don't know what's true and what's not, but from my own basic understanding of the shambles of what everyone is trying to present, because it's just so all over the show, what I do think is that, yes, there could have been, Gypsy could have just been saying that just to be able to get off social media. Could she be framing Nina? Yeah, maybe. I said this in my last video. Like I say, this is probably going to be the last video I make unless something crazy happens, okay? Because I cannot talk about her anymore. She needs to get off the internet, and maybe this was her alibi to do so. I think any of them, and that includes like Christy and anyone else that is kind of within that gang who presents themselves on social media, you know, Gypsy's little, you know, right hand men, as you'll say, like people that are in her corner, are they capable of doing dodgy stuff like trying to have accounts taken down? Probably, but this is the reason why you probably shouldn't, you know, talk to them in the very first place, especially if you're covering them. But that is just my own 2 cents, because I feel like this whole situation got needlessly quite messy, and you know, I don't buy, upon reflection, everything that Gypsy was saying in her taking accountability video, although I am quite happy that those were her last videos before her accounts went. Now, whether it is true that it was taken down because of messages or potential messages or whatever the case may be, I do think that her being offline is the best thing for her, and it's the best thing for people around her, and that is just what I think. But yeah, I do just think this whole situation just got extremely grey, and I think a lot of people, especially with this kind of situation, just need to like stay out of like making like personal relations with her, which I know a lot of people who defend her try and do, because I have seen that, especially from smaller channels that are on TikTok that have actually befriended Gypsy. And I just don't understand why people would do this, because at the end of the day, we don't know them, they don't know us, and I think then it creates just crazy conflict on the TikTok streets. Hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.